I want to show you how you can grow plants from seed, and also how to be able to transplant those seedlings once they've grown nice and healthy into your garden in a really effective way. So first off, growing seeds, you can get seeds from anywhere. Obviously we save a lot of our own seeds. You can go to the shop and buy your own seed packets. Is another way you can do it. We use seed raising trays like these. We put newspaper in the bottom and then we put a seed raising mix in. We make this seed raising mix ourselves with sifted compost, pumice sand and coconut fibre. You obviously can buy seed raising mixes as well, preferably organics. They don't contain fungicides and that sort of stuff that kill a lot of the beneficial microorganisms. If you don't have seed raising trays, of course, whatever you've got lying around. If you've got some trays like this, you could use them as well. So all you need to do is grab your seed and sprinkle it into your tray. And then you need to put some more seed raising mix on top. Now you want to put a really thin layer. So however big the seed is, these are parsley seeds and they're pretty little. You only want to be putting that much seed raising mix on top. If you put too much on, they won't germinate. So I'm just going to put a nice light sprinkling on top there. And then I get my little marker and I've used waterproof pen and wrote in what is on there, sorry, the parsley, and just pop that there. Make sure you use a waterproof marker, otherwise it washes off when you water them and then, oh, what have I got there? So then that's one row. Then you could grab your next row, just some kale, and sprinkle it in. Ideally you want to plant seed of the same size in the same tray, just for ease. Again, put your seed raising mix, sprinkle it on top. And we put our label in, and so forth, and we would carry that on throughout. So a lot of you are probably wondering what you can plant now, because we are now in New Zealand. We are now in our autumn, coming into winter months. Autumn is a great time to be planting. We need to be getting the plants in now, because as soon as winter hits, it takes a long time for plants to grow. So we want to be getting the plants in now. The things that you can plant now are obviously all our brassicas, like broccolis, cauliflowers, cabbages, kales, pak choys, that sort of thing. We can also plant like our leafy greens, like lettuces, spinach, chard, leeks, celery. All those sorts of things are really good now, and those are the sorts of things that you would raise in your seed raising tray. You can also plant straight into the garden with things like, at the moment you can plant things like beetroot, carrots, get them in now, radishes you can also plant, peas, broad beans, garlic soon. All those things, you don't have to raise them in seed trays. They can go straight into your garden bed because they don't like to be transplanted. So once we've done that, all we need to do is come out. We give them a deep water now, and then we come out every day, maybe twice a day depending on how hot the weather is, and giving them a really light sprinkle just to keep them moist. And these should germinate within 2 weeks, roughly 2 to 4 weeks depending on what you've planted. So now that our seeds have grown on, they start to get a bit bigger, and once they get their first set of true leaves, you can prick them out, so that, because we planted those seeds so closely together, they need a lot more room to grow. So I pricked these ones out. I was actually growing these for the community garden, so I pricked them out and popped them into these seed trays. You could also prick them out and pop them into another seed tray, just with more distance apart, so that they have more room to grow. Obviously you might buy them like this from the garden centre as well. So if you haven't planted seeds, you've just brought some from the garden centre or from the market, and you want to plant straight into your garden, I'll show you how to do it. So first of all, you need to loosen off the bottom and get your seedlings out. Now they don't like their roots being disturbed, so we want to get them into the soil as soon as possible. So these are lettuces. Now different things require different spacing, obviously. Like brassicas, you want to plant say 30 centimetres apart. Lettuces you can plant a lot closer. Please just Google it. I'm not going to go into detail in this video, or it might be on the seed packet that you planted. So what you want to do, because we've aerated the soil so nicely, we can get our hand in, and we want to plant them nice and deep and then give them a little push around. See how I've planted them nice and deep? So if you're planting brassicas, you want to plant them right up to their first leaves. Nice and deep. Oh. And then a great way to be able to save space is to plant in between. So instead of planting in rows, you now plant in between. So like a triangle. And then I would do in between, and then this one would then come out here again. Plant them nice and deep. And then you want to give them a really nice deep water. So these are some spinaches as well. So you need to give them a little bit more room. Plant them nice and deep. I know by eye, but obviously that takes time, and you will learn that as you go. So we're going to give them a nice deep water. With your hose or your watering can, whatever you have available. And then the next key to protecting our soil and helping our soil biology is mulching. So if you can get hold of some straw, that's awesome. Otherwise you could use a thin layer of grass clippings, or you might have some comfrey leaves, or some other kind of broken down leaf matter. Anything that you've got around, just to be able to protect the soil. So we don't put the mulch right up the plant, we just put it nice and around it. This also helps to suppress the weeds, which is always a bonus. And it means that when the rain falls, it's not washing away our soil because it's got a barrier. It's got a barrier to hit. And so we go, you get the gist. So the last tip, really simple tip, to keep our plants nice and healthy is by feeding them. So if you can do a weekly or fortnightly foliar feed to these, if you can pick up some wormweeds or some fish fertilizer or some seaweed fertilizer from your garden store, that's going to be the most fastest and effective way to be able to feed these. Obviously there's many methods that we can make ourselves to be able to feed these, but if you're just beginning and you're just wanting to get it underway, that's what I recommend. So there you go, team. That is how we start growing our own kai, our own food. I think it's a really important time at the moment to be learning these skills. I think it's super empowering if we can be able to provide for ourselves in this way. I think it's a great way to get outside, get some fresh air, feel physical, and yeah, just something really positive that we can be doing at the moment. So go forth.